Is this thing on?
Bunnie, who used to be a former sex worker and now hosts the podcast Dumb Blonde.
Most little girls grow up wanting to be doctors and lawyers and shit. And I was like, I want to be super hot, make a lot of fucking money, and be a rock star's wife. That was my goal as a child. And here we are.
Hi, babies. Welcome to another episode of Dumb Blonde. Today, we have a true icon, one who has lived a full life, and not just because of her exes, but because of hard work, tenacity, and her sheer will to shine. Miss Shanna Moakler.
Hello.
What you doing?
That's a nice
babe?
introduction.
I mean, listen, girl, I've always loved you.
Thank
but
you.
I really had to kind of study you for the podcast, you
Sure,
know?
sure.
And you're resilient as fuck.
Thank you.
And you've been through some shit.
Yes, I have.
A lot. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to touch base on it. And
Sure.
I feel like the media villainize.
They're so kind.
No, aren't they sweet? They're so sweet.
They're so kind to me.
I've never had to deal with it on your level. I'm just now getting into it.
Sure.
And just the outright lies.
Yeah,
I don't know how you are like a pop culture icon.
Thank you.
Literally. Like everybody knows who you are. And if they don't, I don't even live under a rock. Like for sure.
Thank you. Love you more.
I got you, baby. I got you. But I just love that no matter what life has thrown at you, you've always made it a positive. You've always got back up on your feet, and you've always just been like, you hit like a bitch, and I'm just going to keep doing me.
Yeah.
And you're outspoken.
It's
and
East
I love
Coast.
that. I love that. So yeah, let's talk about it. So you grew up in Rhode Island?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Rhode Island. I was born in Providence, raised in a small town called Barrington, and I was born and raised there. And I just always wanted to get into the entertainment industry. So there wasn't a big booming one in Rhode Island, so I started out in pageants. That's how I got into pageantry. And I graduated high school. I moved to Miami. I modeled there. I went to New York. I modeled there. And
Let's slow it down real quick. I can tell you're so used to doing interviews because she's like, let's get it in all.
Yeah.
But we're gonna stop right there. So you grew up in Rhode Island. How was your relationship with your parents? Because I know that they both.
Yeah, I lost both my parents.
That
this
is
year.
fucking tough, dude.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I had my parents for as long as I did. And I mean, it's just one of those parts of life, you know, where you know it's going to happen one day, but you just are like, no, it's never going to happen. But, you know, they were married for 52 years, and they were honestly like two of the most incredible human beings. And I'm so grateful that I had them. In fact, you know, I kind of thank them. I think my strength and my resilience is because of them, because I had such a strong family, you know, supporting me through all the craziness and the roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
So, you know, losing them, this is my first, you know, year without them. And I'm like, I'll cry. I'm like talking about them.
How are you feeling?
I'm going to start crying. But, you know, this is like my first holidays without them. And it's hardcore. It's just, I mean, it's just that part of life, you know, that you just never wanted to have happen, but happened. And so, yeah, it's been a really gnarly year for me, but
that's brutal.
Yeah, but they were my strength. They always supported me, and they were so good to me. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm just so grateful. You know, I know I have friends that, you know, didn't even know their parents and, you know, didn't have that. So I'm just really happy I got to have him for as long as I did. He's so awesome.
Chachi's just sprawled out, dick and everything, just hanging out right now.
So cute.
My heart breaks for you. I lost my mom last November, and then I found out my dad has stage 4 cancer this year.
Gosh.
So I'm watching him die. So I couldn't even imagine, you know, what you're going through, losing them.
Yeah,
like
I was
that, just
prepared
back to
for
back.
my dad to pass. You know, he was really, I'm the last of 4. He was like 85, 86. But my mom was like just a super surprise, you know, so my condolences, honestly.
No, same to you. I forgot. Now I got all emotional too thinking about it. I forgot what I was gonna ask. You said that your mom was a surprise. Do you think that she possibly died from a broken heart?
She actually died first. She died January 3rd. Yeah, she had a
Okay.
massive like heart attack just out of nowhere. No, really healthy and doing well. I mean, I thought I was gonna have her for like I thought she was gonna drive me crazy for another 20 years, you know. But after she died, I knew when one went, the other one would be really close, like some Notebook style stuff, you know. So. At one point, my dad was just so sick that I just was like, God, like, please,
That's
Mom,
that's where I'm at with
like,
my
come
dad.
take him, please.
Yeah, like I don't want him to hurt anymore.
Yeah,
no, I
suffering,
totally.
yeah.
Well, back to your childhood.
Yeah.
Let's get off the sad subject.
Yeah, sure.
Back to your childhood. So when did you start modeling? As a baby or like in
No, I
childhood?
started modeling when I was I wanted to be a model so bad. My dad had this, he was a dentist, and he had this model from New York who would come to just see him, and she was a Revlon model. And when she would come, I would be like, wow. Yeah. But I would watch Barbie commercials and stuff and be like, I want to do that, like I don't want the Barbies. I want to be in the commercial. Yeah. I always loved that. And so my mom put me in a John Casablanca's modeling
I remember
school.
the John Casablancas. They used to be at the malls. They
they were in the malls and stuff.
Yeah.
And my mom,
only the real OGs know that.
Yeah, totally. And I was 4'11" and 75 pounds. My mom was like, I don't know how to tell you, you're not gonna. This isn't
a dream you're gonna have. Yeah.
But she put me in modeling, and the pageant, the Miss Rhode Island Teen USA pageant, people were there, and they were like, you should come do the pageant. I was 15. I was like, okay, and I did it, and I placed first runner up, and then I finally just became a kid model, and I started making bank being a kid, a junior model. Yeah. And my parents were like, oh shit, maybe she can do something with this, because I was doing national campaigns, but as a kid. Yeah. But then I finally hit puberty, and I grew, and the next year I ended up winning the Miss Rhode Island Teen USA pageant. I went to Miss Teen USA.
What is doing pageants like? I mean, especially at a young age, did you feel all the competition? How were the girls Did it create insecurities in you? Because I would hate to be judged that young, because I was so fucking awkward as a teenager. I
guess I looked at it more of the glamour part of it, the show. I was I want to be part of the show and the lights and the I was excited to interview and share my personality with people, and the girls were great. You made friends, and they had events for us, and they would teach you beauty stuff, and there was lots of networking, so they would go to John Casablanca's, they would go to modeling schools, they would introduce you to agencies, and that's what I was trying to get, Right. And so
even at such a young age, you really just had your eye on the prize.
Oh yeah,
you knew what you wanted to do.
I was so ambitious. Yeah, I was I'm gonna, and people would laugh at me. I remember being in school and writing down I want to be a model and an actress, and it was out of a movie, everyone pointing and laughing, but I was
You manifested
I'm gonna do
your
it.
life.
Yeah, I was I'm gonna do it. And it's funny because I always wanted to be a model, and they were like, oh, you're too little, you're too this, you'll never be a model. Then when I became a big model, then they were like, oh, well, I was I want to be an actress, and they're like, well, you can't be an actress. And then I became an actress, and it's oh, well, you did TV, you can't do movies. It's always they always will tell you something. So.
I love that. I was just talking about that on my TikTok live today. I was they said, I forgot what the question was, but I was they said, as an entrepreneur, what would you say? I said, never give up on yourself, because you are the only one who's going to have your back 100%. Yeah. So no matter if they tell you no, do it anyways. I said,
people try, know, even if it doesn't work out. I mean, there's so many things I've tried and failed at, but you got to try. Yeah. And I think just even the first step, just getting yourself out there, that's the hardest part. Once you do that, then you just keep, one step at a time.
Absolutely. So take me on this journey. You were doing pageants, and then how did you end up in LA? And
sure. Yeah.
Was that at a young age too?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I graduated high school. I moved to Miami. I did season there for, there, and then we follow the seasons, and I moved to New York, and I competed in Miss New York USA.
What does that mean, follow seasons?
So in modeling, there's seasons where the weather is really beautiful, and all the clients and everyone go to Miami and shoot. Oh. And then when the weather gets too hot, everyone goes to New York, and then the weather gets nice there, so then they follow the seasons.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I did, and I loved doing Miss Teen USA so much that I wanted to do Miss USA. So I did Miss New York, and I won that, and then I went to Miss USA. I was actually first runner-up, and the girl who beat me went to Miss Universe, so I inherited the title of Miss USA. And back then, we were based in Los Angeles, so I moved to LA to be Miss USA for a year. And that's how I got to LA. I was 19 years old. I was the youngest Miss USA in a decade. It was pretty crazy.
That is so crazy that you accomplished so much in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I feel people don't focus on that with you. They don't focus on your accomplishments. They want to just focus on comments or shit that gets said, and it's like,
yeah,
no,
they want to focus on who I dated, and I'm like, I have like,
and we'll get to that, but that's not you.
Yeah,
you know?
it's crazy to me because I'm like, I've really worked my ass off. I've like beat the streets of Providence, Boston, Miami, New York, LA, and I've auditioned for everything I've ever done. I had to audition. It wasn't like I was just handed to me. One role was handed to me, but everything else was not handed to me. I don't think people realize that.
No, and
thank you for that.
Of course, and that's really one of the things I wanted to highlight in this interview is like you're so much more than what is in the tabloids.
Thank you.
And so going back to you doing all of this, like where are you living? How are you supporting yourself?
Well, when I moved to LA, when you win Miss USA, you got an apartment in LA for a year, and you got free transportation, and they flew me all over the country, and I worked with different charities like Special Olympics. I went to huge Hollywood, what do they call them, premieres and things. I signed with William Morris, and that was
nice.
that's my career took off pretty quickly. That's when I got on Pacific Blue and became a series regular, and everything kind of took off. So, and then after my year was over, I crowned Allie Landry, the famous Doritos girl.
Yep, I remember.
And I just got a little apartment in LA, and I just hit the streets.
Hit the streets running, baby.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're 19 years old.
Yes.
You're in LA.
Yes.
How is 19-year-old Shanna feeling? Just
Man,
coming from fucking small Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful, but
yeah, LA was hard at first to get used to, especially coming from the East Coast. East Coast people will come to LA and do pretty good. LA people will go to the East Coast and they usually come back real quick. They don't like it as much over there. But it was hard. LA's it's a bigger city. It's very spread out, and it's very cliquey. People, they see a lot of people come and go. They see a lot of Hollywood people, and so they don't let people into their cliques very easy. So it was hard to make friends, but I eventually did, and I look back now, and I mean, I just had the time of my life. It was just
kind of felt like where your soul belonged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was like home, and my OG, the old crew of Hollywood. I'm actually going to see them all. We're going to be celebrating one of our OG's birthdays coming up this Saturday, and I'll see a lot of the old school people. And it was just like the best time ever. It feels like a million lifetimes ago, but it was like the most amazing time of my life.
Isn't it crazy? Because you and I are around the same age. Isn't it crazy to think back to 20 years ago and we're just like, bro, how the fuck did it fly by so fast?
Yeah, it's going to be like 30 years for me. I'm 48. I'm going to be 49. And I moved here when I was 19, LA when I was 19. And I'm like, where did those 2 decades go? I was like, where's my 30s go? And I'm like, wait, my 40s? No. Like, it's so crazy.
Dude, my 20s and 30s were a blur. I grew up in Vegas, so I could only imagine. We spent hella time in LA too, so I can only imagine living in that 24/7.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Take me to one of the first premieres that you ever went to. Like, how did you feel? Like, were you excited? Was it like, were you nervous?
Yeah, one of my first premieres, I don't even know it would be my first one, but I mean,
or
around
one of the most memorable ones.
I have a really funny story for you. You'll like this. Okay, so I was friends with Kato Kalin back in the day.
Oh my god!
And he was like, I got a friend who he's like, I got a friend that needs a date to a movie premiere, and I'm like, who? And he's like, Bill Maher, and I didn't really know. Back then, he just had like his show was on like Comedy Central or something like that. I'm not a huge fan of Bill Maher, and I'm sorry if you guys all are, but I'm not. Yeah. So, but I was like, all right, I'll go. Like, fuck it. It was like this Sean Penn movie, Oh,
geez, yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I go, and he picks me up, and he takes me to this movie premiere, and we do like the red carpet, and it was like really cool, and I meet like all these huge celebrities and all this stuff, and Francis Ford Coppola sitting in front of us with his daughter, and I'm just like, this is the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm with Bill Maher, and I'm like, whatever, fuck it,
How old was Bill back then?
I don't know,
because he's always been old.
I think he's like the same age as me, but he's like real fucking proud to have me like on his arm, and he's like with like the guys, like oh, his friends, and I'm just like, oh Christ, like no, like it's not happening. Anyway, so we after the premiere, Sean Penn goes up to him and he's like, hey, we're gonna go to Jack Nicholson's house.
Good old Jack.
Yeah, come on up with them. And I had known Jack and I had known Sean, whatever, and we get in the car, and Bill puts his like hand on my leg, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't want them like, like no, like I'm not, no, but it's just terrible. This is a terrible story, but
It's fucking
I don't
awesome.
even fucking care. Like I can't stand him. So this is payback, Bill. So like he cares. But we go up there to like Jack Nicholson's house, and and it was really fun. And he's
How
trying
is
to get
Jack. Jack is a fucking icon.
Oh, he introduced me to my basically to Oscar De La Hoya. I was like at Jack's house, and he was like, "This is the golden boy." All the ladies love this guy.
I love Jack so much.
And
He's
I was
such
like,
an icon.
he is hot. And then I remember when I went out that week, and I met Oscar, and I was like, that's the guy that Jack was telling me about. And when Oscar and I actually
Did you meet Oscar with Bill Maher or
No.
Okay,
no,
just
no,
two
no.
separate.
Yeah,
okay.
two separate things.
So how did it end with Bill Maher? And we'll move on to Oscar.
Yeah, and then we'll go over there. So he's trying to get Sean on his show, and he's trying to get Jack on his show, whatever. And then he wanted me to sit next to him, and I was uncomfortable, so I
How old were you?
I was like 20.
Okay, just a baby.
I was like a baby, yeah.
Isn't it crazy how and Bill Maher's the same age? I swear. How old is Bill Maher?
don't
Can we
know.
Google that? Because he was old back then.
I feel like, yeah.
I feel like he's not the same
He's always
age.
kind of looked like the same to me. Yeah, he's like one of those people that like
constantly old.
Yeah, constantly.
You know what I'm talking about? Like Mr. Rogers. Love Mr. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
So he was 40 when I was 20.
That's crazy. That's even worse, Bill. Come on.
So whatever. So anyway, we end up leaving, and he was really angry that I didn't like when he was like when I
Typical
moved
Hollywood
from
dude.
sitting next to him. Like he wanted the guys to think that he had this like hot little blonde with him, and I was like, no, I don't want them to think.
Bro,
that
you're
I'm
like
with
old
you.
as shit.
Yeah. So and in the car, he was like really angry with me, and so I just started talking to like the driver and stuff, and then we got out.
I love how nothing phases you,
yeah,
girl.
like,
I
I'm
need to do your birth chart because I know you're an Aries, but what's your moon?
I think I'm a Virgo.
Okay, gotcha. I could see that for
I think
sure.
so. Like I'm not.
I need to
sure,
do your
though.
birth chart after the show because
Okay,
it's just how unbothered you are is fucking priceless.
Oh, like I was like, you're not gonna ruin my time. Like I was like, I came out here to like, just to have fun. Like
no expectation.
Yeah, no expectation. I wasn't here to date you. I was just like, we were just going out as like friends and as, whatever. And then he got out of the car. We got out of the car, and I remember I had a doorman. I was on Wilshire Corridor back then, and my doorman knew me, and and he walked in, and he goes, I just want to let you know that you are one of the most disrespectful young women I have ever met in my entire life. Ew. And I was like, excuse me. And he's like, shh. And I was like, did you just shush me? And he was like, he goes, and I just want you to know, I will never, ever be seeing you again. You should have let those men know that you were with me, and you are completely disrespectful. And I was like, first of all,
yeah, like, wait, hold up.
I'm not your bitch. Yeah. I'm not your girlfriend, and I don't need to let anyone know that I'm with you. And I was like, and I'm totally fine, like not seeing you again. And I remember he left, and my doorman was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And ever since then, I've been like, "Boo,
fuck Bill Maher."
Yeah, I'm like, "Fuck Bill Maher."
Oh god, that's a priceless fucking story for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks, Kato fucking Caitlin.
Yeah, where the hell's Kato Caitlin at
I don't
now?
know. He did Big Brother too, not too long ago.
Yeah,
like Celebrity Big Brother. But
I feel like he pops in at the weirdest times.
Yeah, the weirdest.
Like he popped in for the OJ shit.
Yeah,
he popped in for like.
Yeah, and I did Big Brother, and he popped in and did a little stint on there, and then just like ran off and.
Yeah, that dude has made a fucking career off just popping in and like being like people's friends.
Yeah,
like it's just
really
it's
weird.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's what he's known for. He's not an actor or anything, is he?
I don't know what he's ever done.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
good.
he was a guest house. Like
I know, but he's somehow a fucking household name, so he figured it out for himself.
That's Hollywood for you. People can like.
Yeah, no, make a name off themselves, just being themselves, I guess, being roommates of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's move on. So how old were you when you met Oscar?
I was like 22 I was like 22, 23.
So you had originally met him when you were 20, didn't really know who he was, and then kind of just like you guys crossed paths again?
Yeah.
So take me on that gap in between 20 to 22. What are you doing out there?
I'm working. I'm on the USA show Pacific Blue.
I got that list right here.
I was working, and
you did a bunch of shows. You did Pacific Blue, you did CSI, Entourage, which is iconic as fuck.
People love that.
How was it on the Entourage set?
That's such a great show. And, that show was so successful.
So good.
When you have a show that is so successful and everyone's making money, the set's really fun because there's a lot of money and everyone's really happy. And so it's a nice place to work.
How were all the boys?
They're just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Connolly is like so
sweet,
awesome. I've known him forever. He's such a good guy.
Aww.
And everyone on the show. I love all those guys.
Just amazing. I love that for you. It's just such an iconic show,
Yeah.
And you also were on The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, that was my first. That was one of my first roles I ever did. I was at a barbecue, and Adam Sandler was like, "Hey, do you want to That's the one role where he was like, "Hey, do you want to, be in this movie?" And I was
How do you
like,
just go to a
"Sure."
barbecue with Adam Sandler?
I don't know.
I'd shit my pants because that's father.
That's the thing. Back then, every night you went out, you would just everyone used to go out back then.
It wasn't so pretentious.
Yeah, there were so many celebrities who just ran in the circles.
That's how Vegas was.
Yeah.
Vegas and Hollywood were so much alike. I would go to the fucking Palms and Pamela Anderson would be there. Fucking Anna Nicole.
Everyone.
Nobody had
people
security.
Were just going out. No one had security.
Yeah.
It was really fun. It was like the Playboy Mansion. Those parties when he first, lit the candles in the grotto again after his marriage. Those parties were awesome. Everyone went, like Leo and
God.
everyone.
I think Leo is still partying.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think he's stopped.
The whole pussy posse. Yeah, all those guys, and I love all those guys.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. So getting into TV.
Yes.
How did you get into it? You were like, okay, I'm gonna do TV. I'm done with modeling. I don't want to do pageants anymore. Is that what?
Well, I won the big one,
Right.
and so there's really no more to do in pageantry for me. I could have gone and done Miss America, but it's a scholarship pageant for girls that really want to go to college.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna go to. I had no desire to go to college. So
right. She's like, I already know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to, and I. For me, being in entertainment, going to college would have taken years of, where I need to be auditioning and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, I was just beating just auditioning.
I have a question though. So girls literally strive their entire life to make it to that Miss America pageant.
Yeah.
What do they do? What is life after pageantry for those girls who
it's
are
really
like
hard.
lifers?
It's hard for a lot of them. Miss America, it's not really a beauty pageant. It's really girls that have a platform and really want scholarship money to pay off their tuitions and stuff. So it's more of an interview. They say it's a talent pageant, but it's really more of an interview pageant. And so those girls, they really want to be, they have a plan already. They want to be in aviation or doctors, lawyers.
Okay, so there is life out.
There's life. They're going, to go do stuff. Where in Miss USA, Miss Universe, those girls are more entertainment based. They want to be, they want to be in movies, hosting, acting, modeling. So we always say, Miss America is the girl that lives next door, and Miss USA is the girl you wish lived next door. But it's more of a beauty pageant. It's more based on physical beauty. It's not so much college based.
All those girls are gorgeous. Didn't Donald Trump used to host those?
He owned it. Yeah,
okay.
I worked for Donald for a long time.
Did you meet him?
Yeah.
Did he ever grab you by the
I have
pussy?
met him. Yeah, he and I were in a crazy lawsuit together and against each other and together.
What?
I got to meet him.
Did he ever grab you by the pussy?
No, he
Okay.
didn't.
I just had to ask.
He wasn't my biggest fan.
Oh no! What happened?
Well,
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can totally talk about it. It's actually pretty famous. There was my title. I used to run. I was the executive director for the Miss California USA pageant.
Right.
And I had a title holder named Carrie Prejean, and she was a very religious girl. And when she competed at Miss USA, Perez Hilton asked her about same-sex marriage because at the time,
Perez is coming on the podcast tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Tell him I said, what's up? Tell him if he says another thing about my daughter, Alabama, we're going to the mattresses.
I will tell him that.
Please tell him that.
I will.
I'll tell you a little more about Perez
we'll talk
later.
about that.
We'll talk about Perez later, too. But, yeah, so Perez asked her about same-sex marriage, and at the time it was very controversial. We had, Prop 8 going on, and it was a very big deal. We were,
and she
marching.
was religious.
Yeah, she was very religious.
Right.
And so she just said that, she stated, that she just felt marriage was between a man and a woman, and that was her opinion, but the way it came across was really offensive to a lot of people, especially in pageantry. There's so many, we have a huge gay community.
Yeah.
And so it was really offensive to a lot of people. And then she basically kind of like breached her contract, started kind of like running all over the country. A huge church, in NAM, it's called the National Organization for Marriage. It's kind of what created Prop 8, and it's highly funded.
Right.
And then, like the Baptist churches from the South kind of latched onto her and wanted
I think I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, wanted her to kind of be like the face of, of anti-gay marriage and stuff.
Right.
And started paying her like massive amounts of money to go to these churches that kind of had like anti-gay rallies and
right.
like, associated, homosexuality with like bestiality. It was like awful.
Oh.
So, we were trying to like be like, you're under a contract. You can't just go do these appearances without us and all this stuff. So Trump, at first, we had to go to Trump and be like, we can't control her, like, and she's losing her mind. And we had like this big, press conference over at the Trump Towers. It was like Cannes Film Festival with the cameras and stuff. And I wanted her to lose her crown. I thought, her behavior, just the way she treated us,
wasn't
terrible.
Very pageantry like.
It was,
you don't, because you want little girls to be able to look up, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like you don't talk about religion and
it
stuff
got
like
just
that,
gross.
and
It got and nasty. And we had sponsors, that are like, I'm a gay, we just gave you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and she hates me. It was just really bad. And he let her keep her crown, and I resigned. I quit. I was like, I'm not supporting this. I'm out. I quit. I made like I was on CNN. I was on, it was really big news. Ryan Seacrest, and then I think even Trump got sick of her, and then Trump ended up firing her and asking me to come back, which I did, and then she sued all of us, and so she sued Trump and we all had to like go to.
What did she sue
meetings.
for?
She sued for religious discrimination.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that.
How did that end up?
This is amazing. She sued us, and
so she was suing you and Trump. You guys weren't suing each other.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. She was suing Trump. She went after Trump, and then myself and my partner in the Miss California USA organization. She had a boyfriend who sent all her. She masturbated a lot, and she took videos of herself masturbating.
Well, that wasn't the turn I was thinking was about to happen.
She masturbated a lot, and she sent.
Isn't that against?
Well,
religion?
I mean, hey, I'm all for masturbating.
Listen,
like,
I will leave a snail trail anywhere. I am totally fine for it, but I don't.
Like, I'm. Please be proud, masturbate and be proud. But she, her boyfriend sold all her masturbation videos to TMZ, and now you have to understand that now at this point she's become where she was a little religious, right? She then was making a lot of money with these churches, and so then she kind of became this really very religious woman, and which she was not to that extent, And
I always feel like when people are like that, they're always hiding something.
Yeah,
I grew up in a very religious environment, and my family was the most hypocritical people you could ever meet.
It's always that preacher who's like, and then he's found in like a motel with a, having a homosexual
smoking
relationship.
crack and fucking doing weird shit.
Yeah, exactly. So so we ended up the lawsuit presenting that, and she denied it until like the camera went up to her face, from her vagina to her face, and then so we settled out.
Oh, good.
Ended it. So that was
crazy.
Yeah, that was my first year as a state director.
So why did he not like you though? Just because you quit and you took a stance?
Because
I
quit and said that I will not support him. I wouldn't support, because you have to understand the contract that she signed is the same contract I signed at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, and I had to abide by the contract. I couldn't go tell my state directors to fuck off and go do whatever I wanted to do. And, and I felt like, well, why does she get to breach it? Because she's bringing in press.
Right.
Donald loved press, and it's like, I get that, but like, she's also like killing our business. You know, our sponsors are dropping, and she's, people are offended and
hurting people. Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. That story was awesome though.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
You're doing TV.
Yeah.
When did you do The Wedding Singer?
I was about 20 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
When I
and
did
you
The
met
Wedding Singer.
Billy Idol.
I did. I met him on that. I met him on that set. Yeah.
How's his wiener?
He was a really good lover. I'm not gonna lie.
I do. See, I
really
had
good
a
lover.
feeling because those rocker dudes, for some reason, I love musicians and rocker dudes, but the majority of them, not all of them, are pretty passionate. Like,
he was actually really fun and really cool, and he actually was really awesome to talk to. He just knew like a lot about like history and was like really fun conversations.
I love
he had a
that.
beautiful home, and
he stimulated you intellectually.
Yeah, he did stimulate me intellectually, and he was just a lot of fun. But I was just so young. I was never gonna like settle down with like anyone. I was like wild as hell. So
you're literally living everybody's dream. You know?
He was super fun though.
I love that. So you're doing TV, you're doing these movies. How are you feeling? Did you ever fall into like the drug scene in LA or like get involved
I never
with that?
did. No, I never got into drugs. I wasn't even like too much of a drinker really. You know, I just was high on life, just running around, and I just wanted so badly to be a movie star and to break into movies, and I just was very I wouldn't call myself like a star fucker because I just ran in those like circles of people.
Back then, I don't even think that was a thing.
Yeah.
Now it's more like clout chasers, but back then it was like it was where you were and who you knew.
Yeah, I mean, people were just everywhere. So you couldn't avoid.
You didn't pursue them. You literally just ran into them.
Yeah. But I just was so zoned in on just being successful, and I just wanted to prove everyone that in Rhode Island that told me I was never gonna be shit that I was gonna do it. You know?
Yeah, I love that. The tenacity is amazing.
It was awesome.
So, moving on, you meet Oscar.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Take me on this journey.
Yeah, I so one of my best friends from Rhode Island was a security guard at this I think it was a big club in West Hollywood, the Eden or something, Garden of Eden or something. People will know that.
I'm looking at my notes. I'm
that's
not
okay.
just taking a phone call now or anything
cool.
like that. I literally have.
No, you're totally fine. You're like sorry, I'm gonna drink.
You're
I'm
good.
so dehydrated.
I know you said can we say it? Or you said you were hungover.
I'm a little hungover. I've been on this terrible sleep. So I went to bed at like 9 o'clock last night, like I told you, and I woke up at like 6 in the morning, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I went and played like some cards, like some, and I just had like a couple drinks, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta go do this podcast at 2. I'm drunk. I gotta like.
Mimi's fucking hungover too.
I was like, I gotta get it together.
They didn't come barreling
in
into like 3 a.m. I was like, I gotta do this podcast somewhere. I'm not drinking with you guys. So
yeah. So I went to this nightclub, and Oscar, I remember he walked by, and I used to go run around Hollywood, and then I would go to this bar to meet my friend and wait for him to get paid, and we would all go get like pizza or go to whatever after food spots we all used to go to, and he walked by, and the other security guards were like, Shanna, do you know who that was? Do you know who that was? That was Oscar De La Hoya, and I was like, oh, that's who Jack told me about.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was like, oh, that's who Jack was talking about. He was really cute. And they're like, do you want to meet him? And I was like, okay. And so they like brought me over to him, and we just looked in each other's eyes, and it was just like ding, and that was like it.
Do you feel like it was some sort of like a connection, like from another life type thing?
Oh my God, instantly. And I knew, I was like, and back then I was like, I'm never gonna have babies. Like I'm never having kids. Like I'm just gonna like live my life. And I met him, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have your baby. Like I was like, I'm going to have your baby, and we're gonna be like. And I was so happy. I was like, we had quite a whirlwind there.
Does he dress up in women's clothing, really?
No, he doesn't.
Because I mean, I remember when that was going down, and I was like, well, how do we explain these pictures? What was happening?
You know, he does drink a lot. He had like a drinking problem for sure. And he's the kind of
we've all done some weird shit.
We all do some weird shit, but he's the kind of drinker that like, you know, he can drink a lot, but he's like wasted off the first shot. You know those kind of people like where you have to like babysit him.
Latin. I feel like some Latin Americans cannot drink. Like they can't. Like some Indians, they have a really hard time drinking.
It's like, you know, it's some people's like biochemistry or something. Like they just like, but like when he drinks like 2 drinks and he's like as if he had 50, he can drink 50, but he's like as wasted off the first as he would be like on the 50th.
Right.
And but he's very fun. Like he's a fun person, and he's you know, and he loves to sing, and he's very social, and he's very charismatic, and you know, and he really just, you know, he's in training. He would train for 3-4 months in Big Bear at a time, and then he wanted to like let loose and go crazy after the fights and just be young. He was 25 when I met him. Yeah, and I was 22, 23 years old.
Yeah. Oh, you guys were babies.
Yeah, we were like babies, and but he's like one of those people that would like put like the clothes on just to be funny and silly.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
Then somebody took the picture.
And then someone
and
took the pictures, then tried to like basically blackmail him.
That is terrible.
Yeah,
it was the
terrible.
media is fucking terrible like that. I've always wondered that. I was like, is that his kink? Because I know there are some people with kinks like that.
No.
So take me into you guys' relationship. You know, you guys met that night, and then it was just a whirlwind
I got
romance.
pregnant 6 months later, and I remember saying to him like,
did you just move in with him?
Yeah,
right away?
We like moved in with each other, and we just were like madly in love. And I think our first date, like I went to Big Bear and we took a private jet to Vegas, and he took me to like a George Foreman fight.
Oh, damn, that's iconic.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I just remember people being like, champ, and like I'd never been with an athlete, and there's a difference between fans of athletes and fans of movie stars. Like there's a real difference.
What's the difference?
They're just way crazier, way more fanatic, fanatical. And I just was like, this is crazy. And I didn't really know anything about the boxing world or, him really. I just fell in love with who he was. He was very romantic, and I just loved his culture and the Latino, like kind of, energy of him. And I'm half Portuguese. I'm Portuguese and Irish.
Me
but
too. I'm Brazilian and white trash.
That's
what I always say.
I love it. And we just fell in love. But we were so young, and we had he had so much money and had so much power, and he had so many people just pulling at him from every direction. I mean, we just did an HBO documentary, and I was actually really surprised that he kind of let me be as candid, and he was as candid and really as brutally honest about, his drinking, his drug problem, his womanizing, his sex addiction.
Do you think he's trying to right his wrongs now that he's older?
Yeah, absolutely. And he did me pretty dirty,
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you had Atiana.
Yeah, I had Atiana. She was about 1.5, 2 years old, and I knew things were going on. They were like,
you always know when they're cheating.
Yeah, you always know.
It's never fucking not noticeable.
Yeah, and that didn't bother me so much as like there were all these third parties. There was like, he had just lost his first fight, and there were lots of new businessmen in, and they were making changes and stuff, and basically like he wanted to sing. He was doing like an album, and we were like, and I was like, you're singing now? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it was really weird. But I remember I met him at the Hilton at Universal. Every time I pass it to this day, I still remember. And I met him at the Universal, and I just like was like, do you want this anymore? And he was like, you know what? He's like, I'm gonna go to New York. I'm gonna go do Letterman, and when I come back, we're gonna start fresh. He's like, I want you and the baby. You're my girls. We're gonna start He's like, go buy some art for the house. Go get some, new things for the house. And when I come back, we're going to start fresh. And I was like, okay. That was like on a Friday. And then
do you think he really genuinely in that moment meant that? Or do you think he was pacifying the situation because he wanted to avoid confrontation?
I'll never know.
You'll never know.
I'll never know. I obviously it was everything I wanted to hear in that moment. But I'll never know. But I was in our home, our mansion in Bel Air, and my daughter was sleeping in her nursery. My mother was there, my girlfriend, and we were watching the Latin Grammy Awards. And I just remember they were like, Oscar De La Hoya is about to hit the red carpet. And meanwhile, I'm calling him like, hey, honey, did you get home all right? Like, where are you? And he's not answering. And I kind of like we all looked at each other like, Oscar De La Hoya's on the red carpet. Like, what the fuck is he doing there? And it's in LA, So we're like, wait, what? And they go to a commercial break. And so we're waiting, and I'm like, what is he doing there? Why the fuck am I not there? Like, what's happening? And then he comes back, and there he is holding hands with his now ex-wife, Millie Cordehay, or I don't know how to say her name, whatever, Millie. And I just in Kill Bill when that
when everything just slows down.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember I lost my breath, and I just was like, And he was holding her hand, and they were like a couple. And I just like, my mom. I just
and everybody
remember,
had publicly known that you guys were
yeah,
together,
we were a couple.
right?
Yeah, we were a couple.
And they just accepted this. There was no backlash of like,
there was
hey.
really no backlash, and he was so powerful, and the media was just so. He had such control of the media that,
wow.
I didn't stand a chance. And and the next day they had a lawyer come to the house and say, you and the baby need to move out. And I was like, I'm not moving out. This is my home. And, and it just became like a shit show, a whirlwind, like a shit show. And we were in we fought for probably like.
Did you ever get him back on the phone?
No, he never called me again. He had his assistant, Raul, come to me and tell me that he no longer wanted to be with me. And I remember breaking down in Raul's arms and crying. I think Raul was crying. I think we were both crying. God. And I just was like, is this really? I couldn't even I just remember sitting on the balcony of that Bel Air mansion with a bottle of vodka and a cigarette and being like, what the fuck am I going to do now? And I really thought in that moment that my life was over.
Oh.
And I was.
How old were you?
I was 24 years old.
You're a baby.
Yeah, but I quit working to, I thought I was going to be a wife and a mom.
Was he very controlling about your working? Because
Yes,
I know that
absolutely.
culture, a lot of the men do not like.
They did not. He did
women.
not want me working. I quit working for him. I quit everything. So at that point I didn't have a manager. I didn't have an agent anymore.
And back in the day, you had to have those too to even do anything.
There was no social media like we have today.
No.
And I don't even think we have phones like we have. I think we had a flip phone or
the brick phones,
a Motorola or something.
The sidekicks.
There was no. And literally doing the one word texting him
T9,
literally like
the
that.
T9.
Exactly. That's how I'm texting him. Where are you?
Yeah.
15 minutes later. But I was like, so it's kind of like that. And I remember
the fact that everybody could publicly know that
Yeah.
you guys were together.
Yeah.
And then him be able to just present a new woman on the that would never fly.
In today's day and age,
world.
are you
No.
kidding?
No.
Yeah.
And the fact that you just had to eat it.
I had to fucking eat it.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah.
did you go through? You were probably going through postpartum during this too, correct?
Yeah, well, no, my daughter was about 1.5, 2 years old. No, I just that's why I ended up. You know what he said to me? This is so crazy. This part of it, I remember because he wouldn't see me, and I remember I went out to a club. And Paris Hilton was there, and he was fucking Paris Hilton at that time. Even though he was with Millie, he was
You and Paris have a long, extensive history.
Yeah, he was fucking Paris, and I got
even though he was with Millie.
Yeah, even though he had just started dating Millie, and
Wow.
and I knew he was there to meet her, and she was hanging out with me, and I was just like, why are you hanging out with me? If you're and he saw me, and I left. I left the club, and he wanted to meet me, and so I went and I met him the next day, and it was the first time I'd seen him since.
How long ago was it? How long after?
It was about a month since the Latin Grammy Awards.
Okay, gotcha.
And we were in the car talking, and he came to meet me, and I just said to him, I'm like, why did you do that? Why did you internationally humiliate me? And I have nothing, I have nothing now. I don't even know what to how to move forward from this.
Yeah.
And
meaning when you say nothing, not monetarily, you're just meaning your family, or you're talking about all of it
I just
together?
felt at that point in my life my career was over.
Yeah.
I had no agent. My
Yeah.
future. I thought I had this whole future planned, and that was ripped away from me in a matter of 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I just I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And he just said, oh, I had a chemical imbalance. That's what he said to me. And I said,
what the fuck?
I was like, okay. And I just was like, well, I don't want to go to I don't want to legally go after you. Can you help me? I don't know what I'm going to do. Where am I going to live? Where, what, I don't know what to do, And he was like, and he goes, Shayna, he goes, and at that point we had gone to court and figured out our child support. And he goes, you already took me to court for child support, and I'm not happy about that. And he goes, and if you sue me for palimony, he goes, I'm not going to see you or the baby till she's 16 years old. And
did you guys make out, or did you just have a conversation?
No, we just had a conversation. I was bawling, and
Yeah.
I was still madly in love with him. And I just I thought I was losing this was the man
you had your first baby with.
Yeah, I worshipped him. And he said, he goes, I won't see you or the baby till she's 16. And I just was like, no fucking way. No way would you do that. And then he goes, and he got out of the car, I'll never forget this. And he went around to I was sitting in the driver's seat, and he knocked on the window, and I rolled it down, and he goes, I have more money than God. Don't be too hard on me. And he left.
That gave me goosebumps.
And he
dude.
fucking left, and I sat in that car. I'm gonna like cry thinking about it. I sat in the car, and I cried for like, fuck, man. And I just was like, there's no way. He didn't. I sued him for palimony, and I won.
I love that you didn't back down though.
Yeah, I really didn't have a choice. I honestly was scared, and I was like, and I was saying to him in the car, I was like, well, I don't want to sue you for palimony. I don't
like, let's figure this out.
But can you help me? I don't even know if I have a fucking car. Like, I don't can you at least like give me, something so that I can raise our daughter in a safe environment, and I can put her in a good school, and I know like I have some support or, security. But he wouldn't talk to me. So I really didn't have a choice. And, in the news back then, they were like, Shanna sues him for $200 million. I didn't want to.
Not knowing the background of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that was half of his money back then. But
any woman that has been hurt the way that you were, I think you were pretty fucking nice.
Yeah,
you didn't slander him in the public. I
wanted him back. I wanted him back so bad, but he didn't see the baby and I till she was about 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't.
My heart just dropped.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for Atiana.
Yeah, she didn't know her father growing up, and they've made amends, and he's made amends with me, and he's apologized to her.
How long did it take for him to apologize and to make amends? Like, has he been consistent in her life since she turned 16?
He was being pretty consistent. He has a new girlfriend, and I think he's midlife crisising out a little bit. But
Damn it, Oscar.
He's definitely, he's trying. He's doing the best that he can do, and he's really owned up to a lot of his mistakes and his faults, and I will honor and respect him for that. He didn't have an easy life, and he's not a perfect person, and I will always love him as the father of my daughter. But he's tried. But Atiana looks at him like a father, and she loves him immensely, but Travis is her dad.
Oh.
Yeah, Travis is her father, like her daddy.
Oh, I love that.
Sure.
Being a bonus parent, that really makes my heart happy because
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's such a hard role to take on, and we'll get into their relationship
too.
Yeah. How is your relationship with Atiana? Are you guys good? Are you guys super close?
I have a great relationship with my kids. It's hard. There's parental alienation is a real thing, and we can get into that a little later, but I'm a goddamn good mom. I'm a fucking great mother, and I raised all my kids, and I did a good job with a lot of heavy shit.
Yeah.
And, even with Atiana when she was little, I made sure that because her dad wasn't there, I would go to the schools and be like, I want her in classes with all male teachers. I want her to have positive male role models. I would have her go and spend summers with my mom and dad because I wanted her to see a functioning, healthy, loving, relationship. I made those choices for her to see those things and be a part of those things. I have a great relationship with my kids. My kids and I never had any bumps in the road until my ex-husband started dating the Kardashian crew,
Gotcha.
And I don't fault my kids for some of the things that they said. They were kids and they were influenced, and but a teenager saying one thing one time doesn't take away the years that I did raising my children. I'm very confident in who I am as a mother and how I raised my children. But I'm not estranged from my children. I'm very close to my children.
I love that.
We have great relationships.
Yeah, we'll dive a little deeper into that once we get into their births and stuff like that. But I just wanted to know where you and Atiana stood because I mean, you guys were babies growing up together.
We really were. Yeah.
Do you feel like the bond, like she's more of like a sister, or do you know?
I'm definitely her mom.
She's like, no, I'm mom.
No, I'm definitely her mom.
I love it. She's beautiful too.
She is.
Goodness. I mean, all your kids are fucking gorgeous.
I'm very proud of all three of them. But she just has she has a very incredible, sweet, kind soul.
She seems like that.
Soul.
She seems very peaceful.
She is. She's more conservative and much more chill than the other two by far. But
the other two are your karma.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, God gave me Bama last for a reason. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So moving on, you're going through this heartbreak. You're having to go through.
I did Playboy.
Yeah. So is that what you did as soon as you broke up with?
Yeah, that's what I did. And he never would. I was on Pacific Blue, and they wanted me to be a celebrity pictorial, and he would never. He was like, no, absolutely not.
He's like, no way.
Mexican. No. But at the time, I needed the money to like pay my attorney to do the palimony suit.
Did you guys settle in the palimony
we did,
suit?
Yes,
okay,
we ended up settling. He ended up being very. I'm like, couldn't we have just done this like a year ago? Did we
I think he just wanted to see if you had it in you.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have a choice. I was like, I'm
She's
like,
I'm doing it, motherfucker.
I don't want to do this. I was like, I love you. Please don't make me do this. Like, we'll do it. But yeah. So I ended up doing Playboy, but they wouldn't make me a celebrity pictorial after that. See, so it like hurt my career.
Right.
And so they said, well, we'll make you a playmate. You can pick your month. And
Wouldn't that be better to be a playmate though than just a celebrity pictorial? Because isn't that like a one-time thing?
Yeah, it's a one-time thing, but you get paid a lot more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you get paid a lot more. So it's hundreds of $1,000s worth $20,000.
Yeah.
And as a playmate, you have to do a video, you have to do certain things. But you know what? My Playboy experience was the most epic, coolest, amazing. Like shooting at Playboy Studio West was Steve Wada, Arnie Freytag, like just the kings of photography. It was just such a really cool time, and just was so good to me.
Yeah.
I never dated Hef. No, you don't have to fuck Hef to be a playmate. Like, he was a complete gentleman, a class act to me, and welcomed me into his home.
I love that whole era of Playboy.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the time that like women kind of all came together for just a cause, and like it was just like it was like a girl gang, and it was like if you were part of that girl gang. I did work for Playboy TV. I wasn't pretty enough to make it in the magazine, but I did shoot.
Yes. Fuck that.
No, listen, I shot with I think his name was Bill White at Playboy West.
Okay, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, and they were just like, no,
they were sometimes they power tripped a little bit over there,
which is
for
fine.
Sure.
Yeah, which is fine. But I've partied. I did the whole Playboy thing.
The whole Playboy,
but that era was just, I don't know, like even though it was for a nude magazine, it was so wholesome.
It was so wholesome, and like
it's so weird to say that, but it was.
It's so true though, and It was
teaching women to embrace their bodies.
And
really.
And it's so interesting because it's like a sisterhood. All the playmates are like a sister. Where the pageantry, there's sisterhood in that. I used to try to get the pageant girls to go to dinner with the playmates, but that never went well. So,
dude, how epic would that be to have a pageant Playboy edition?
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of girls now that
do it
now that their pageants are over. They're like, I want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I wish you did it years ago. It was so cool.
Tell me about it. So I've met Hef a couple times too, and I thought he was always so sweet. He was a little disconnected. Like he was just he was just kind of like there and just kind of did his own thing. Like
I first met him when I was Miss USA and I was doing a charity event, and he was still married to Kim at that time. And I remember he came up to me and he goes, you're truly a beautiful young woman. And I just thought, like,
what a compliment.
What a fucking compliment from him. Like, and I went to bed that night like, holy shit. I remember when I was like, this is crazy, weird. People are going to think it's weird. But I remember my dad used to have like Playboy,
Same, my dad did too.
Yeah.
In the bathroom.
He would have them in the bathroom. I remember looking at them and I just thought the women were so beautiful. And I remember being on the bus and kids were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, a Playboy bunny.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant. And I remember everyone being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, to ironically end up becoming a Playboy bunny later is very, very funny. But I was 19 when I first met Hef, and then I was with Oscar and I wasn't allowed to do it. But then when I was 25, turning 26, that's when I became a playmate, and I vied for Playmate of the Year. It was between me and Darlene. They made us go shoot on just a white backdrop, completely naked. And I remember, and it was between she and I. And that's when he had like 7 girlfriends. And I think like 5 of his girlfriends were in the contention, that year. But I never felt pressure or anything like that. But I was the first playmate to ever have a belly button ring. So
I love that.
Yeah, and I had like the little rabbit head. So
I feel like back in the day they didn't let tattoos either.
Yeah, they didn't have. You weren't allowed to have piercings or tattoos. Hef didn't like them, but he changed that as he got older.
Yeah,
and times changed.
How do you feel about all the stuff that's coming out about Hef right now? And
it's disgusting.
Yeah,
it's disgusting. I mean, there's just there are playmates that I think do things for money and for attention and for fame, and the playmates who really knew Hef and were part of that family, you know, are just completely, it's just vile. And just, you know, let him rest in peace. What the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Ripping this man apart and he can't defend himself. Yeah. You know, I have no respect for that shit, you know, at all.
I love that you're standing up for him though. And
yeah.
like,
I just love, and, you know, I spent every Easter there with Travis and my children, you know, I mean, he was a wonderful man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you're taking a stance, especially in a time when
all those
it's
women
easy
can go
to
fuck off into the sunset. Seriously, gross.
Aww.
He did so much for so many women.
Yeah,
so much. And if any of those women were homeless or had a drug addiction, he would have housed them, taken care of them, and gotten them sober.
Wow.
And it's just disgusting for them to do that. Yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew that he rehabbed women like that.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yeah, numerous.
Crazy. So after you did Playboy, Stella's getting her groove back.
Yeah. Yes.
Take me on this journey. You just did
I met
Playboy.
Travis like very soon after, and it was literally like the minute I got over. I never really got over. I didn't get over Oscar for a decade or so, but the minute I kind of got past it, I was out in Hollywood, and my girlfriend was like, I met this guy, and his name's Rob, Skinhead Rob from the Transplants.
I remember that. Yeah.
And
I remember
she was like, yeah, I met this guy. Like, come with me. Like, I was gonna be her wingman. I was like, all right. And we went to this, I think it was called like the Standard or something on Sunset.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I had a lot of drug nights there.
A lot of people did, I think.
Fuck I think I almost died there one night.
My God.
No, cocaine and Xanax is a hell of a fucking
shit.
binge party.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there, and she was with Rob, and I think like George Clooney was there that night. Ironically,
he was everywhere
he
back
was
then.
Fucking everywhere back then.
Dude, he used to. I can't even believe I'm going to say this. When I used to work at the Palms, he would come and group together all the fucking cocktail waitresses, and they would go upstairs and fuck him. Like, I was there when it happened. I wasn't in the room, but I was working.
Yeah,
I was never one of the cocktail waitresses.
He had a pig and he was doing his thing.
No, George Clooney was the man, dude. All he had to do was walk by and bitches would pass out.
Bitches were like dropping their shorts.
He was a fine motherfucker though.
He's still sexy.
Where the fuck is he? He got married and like
in
disappeared.
Italy with his wife and just doing his thing.
He's just living the dream.
He's living the dream.
Go George, go.
Go George.
George, go. Go George, go.
Yeah, I think I was like talking to him at the bar or something, and then she introduced me to Travis, and he had a big mohawk back then, and not back then no one had mohawks. And, and he was fucking he was tatted up pretty, not as much now, but he was still tatted up pretty tight, and I was just like, this is who the fuck I didn't know who Blink-182 was, and I kind of was like, oh, I think it was like with Oscar, like, oh, that's who Jack, and I was like, oh, didn't they have like little people on the MTV Music Awards on bungee cords like flying around, like that's how I like remembered him. And
what kind of music did you listen to not know who Blink-182 was?
I listened to hip hop and rap.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I listened to hip hop and rap, and R&B.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I had no clue, and I just remember being like, wow, he's really, Oscar's so clean cut and wore suits and shit.
He doesn't even have tattoos, does
Not
he?
one tattoo, not one. And I was like, God, this guy's really fucking tattooed. And I was like, all right, I'll be your wingman, And they were like, oh, he's getting a divorce. He's in the middle of a divorce.
Oh, I didn't know that Travis was married.
Yeah,
before.
he was married to a girl named Melissa, and
just a regular
girl. Yeah, she's a real estate agent today. Nice person.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to fucking deal with a guy going through a divorce, like Jesus, like what a mess. I was like, I'll just be your wingman, George, send me a beer, like that kind of a thing.
Go George, go.
Yeah. And so we just like talked, and I remember he called me Oscar, like he was like, what up, Oscar, like kind of teasing me about Oscar, because I was known as Oscar's girlfriend, the gold digger,
right.
I was like okay, and I was like, what? And then the next week, because you would go to the same club every week. Every Thursday you went, the same thing. And she was like,
I missed that, because that's how it was back in the day.
I loved it.
Yeah, we used to have like wasted space out here.
Yeah, you were like, Wednesday we go here, Thursday we go here, every week. That's what you did. And my girlfriend was like, I want to go meet Rob again. Like, come with me. And I was like, fuck, okay. And
I guess I'll go.
I guess I'll go. So I was like, yay. And so I went, and Travis was there again. And this time, he came up to me, and we I'll never forget it. It was something stupid. I was just like, what's your sign? I said it, what's your sign or something like that. And we just started talking. And then Rob and my girlfriend at the time, Natasha, we all went to back to his hotel, because he was staying at a hotel to be away from his wife. And And we just
Travis's hotel.
Yeah, we met at Travis's hotel.
Gotcha.
We were all just like listening to music and drinking and having fun. And he and I kissed. And I remember like looking, like stepping back and being like, what the fuck was that? Like, holy shit. Like, I just met like the love of my life. And I was like, I'm going to have your baby.
Oh, here we go again.
I was like, I'm going to have your baby. And I just knew it. And 6 months later, I got pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
Which I was, but I mean, and I was so madly, I mean, even like, I never thought I would love again or kind of meet that kind of connection. But Travis is definitely more the love of my life, way more than Oscar.
What is Oscar's sign?
He's an Aquarius.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Aquarius and Aries.
And Travis is a Scorpio.
Yeah, which is crazy to me that, but if you have a Virgo moon, then that makes sense because Virgo and Scorpio are soulmates. I would love to see you guys' charts. I'm surprised. I'm sure somebody's done them online, but do you feel like you and Travis were twin flames?
Oh, 100%.
Because you guys had like a long tumultuous relationship.
Yeah. People don't even realize how long after. They're like, oh, they got a divorce in 2008. I'm like, yeah, we lived with each other like a married couple to like almost 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't know that.
Take me on this journey. You and Travis kiss. What happens after that? You guys just instantly connect?
Like instantly connected. And he was touring with the transplants and I would drive to his house like every weekend and we would just see each other as much as possible. And we just were together. I mean,
did he love bomb you as much as he love bombs?
We were the OG love
I know,
bombers.
I remember.
Do you get deja vu, Courtney? Please, like
I do remember
watching that was just like I was like, oh Christ, like this is hard to watch.
Well, he definitely has a pattern.
Annoying, that's what I think.
I feel like it was a little more acceptable when you guys did it, because it felt more real.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking shit about them. I'm just saying, you guys did do it first, and it was just more accepted back then too.
Yeah, and I got pregnant 6 months later, and
were you guys living together by then already?
Yeah,
okay.
I told him on Valentine's Day, and it was really one of the happiest times of my life.
No.
Yeah, and when we had Landon, and then that's when MTV came to us and asked us if the newlyweds were going off and asked us if we wanted to meet the Barkers, and back then reality TV was so new. I mean, you had the Osbournes and you had the newlyweds. That was really it.
Yeah.
There was no other, they were the pioneers of reality TV. So that's when we did meet the Barkers. And that, that was really I watch those episodes now and I'm like, who are those people?
It's
it's like another lifetime ago.
I watched all the original reality TV, the Newlyweds, Meet the Barkers, and the Osbournes. Loved all of it. And I feel like that's when TV was fucking great, dude.
Yeah, and because back then it wasn't scripted.
Right.
I mean, they really just had two teams of people following you around.
With cameras.
That was your life. You know? And you didn't have to get, legal to say, oh, you can go eat in that restaurant or you can go into that store. People, didn't have to sign their lives away. You just went to that store,
I know how TV shows are shot, and I know that they're edited, and there's always a narrative that they want to paint.
Exactly.
How do you feel about people always saying that? Oh, Shayna, all she did was ever lay in bed.
Oh, it's so fucking annoying. It's so fucking annoying because I'm like, what do you guys think? I'm like narcoleptic or something? Like, it was supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be like a little, like, it was supposed to be entertaining. It was supposed to be like a funny part of the show.
I mean, that bed looked comfortable as fuck.
I love my beds. I love my beds, and I do love sleeping. I do have chronic fatigue. Like, I was diagnosed with that when I was like 19. So when I work, when I first start any work schedule, I usually relapse, and it's very, very hard for me to like function and get up, and I get real irritable with people. But what they don't understand is that I was the one rocking babies all fucking night long.
Right.
So Travis wasn't. He was on tour, and he was at the time, he also had a pretty heavy pill addiction, that he's been very open and candid about. I didn't know that at the time. I was so naive. I didn't even realize it.
You didn't know that he was an addict?
No, okay. I didn't know at all. And
what was he taking, like Lortabs? That was the
taking
the
like
era.
Darvocets or like Narcos or something.
Oh, Norcos, yeah, okay.
Or something,
yeah,
something like that. Like some
loved
sort of,
a good Norco back in the day.
I'm like, I don't even know. If I took a Norco, I'd like throw up. So,
now, yes, I would too. But back then, that's what I used to look for because they had less aspirin in them than the blue pills.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I have no clue. Like, I didn't even know he was like on them. He just, but that's how he functioned. happened, you know? And, but I would be, you know, the cameras would stop rolling. They'd leave around 10 o'clock at night. And then, you know, Travis would go to bed, but I would have to go put like Atiana in her bed, and I'd put on like, you know, a movie, and then I would go and like rock Landon. And mind you, I was pregnant. And then, you know, I'd rock Landon, and then I'd go lay down with Atiana until she fell asleep. And then I would go lay down, and then one of them would wake up like 5 minutes later, you know, and then I would go rock the baby, and then I would go, you know, lay down with her. And then when I had Alabama on the show, well, then I had to go put Atiana down, go rock Alabama, then go rock Landon. And then one of the, you know, I was constantly, so by the time like our nanny would come at like 8 in the morning and the crew would show up, I was exhausted, you know, and it was like, I need to sleep. I've been up all night, like working the graveyard shift, you know? So, I mean, so when people say that all the time, like, oh, you're a deadbeat. I think I did one episode where the nanny came in, and the nanny stayed the night.
Right.
And I actually got like, I was like, I need to get like 8 hours of sleep, like a solid 8 hours of sleep. Like I can't have it broken up every 3 hours, which you do with the newborn and stuff. And so I had Liz, who's still with us to this day. She came over and they filmed it, and they asked her, she can't unmute the Barkers. They filmed her, and I said, how were they last night? You know? So all the people at home thought that I had a fucking nanny the entire time every night, and it was just like one night, and then it's like, oh, I'm a deadbeat mom that never who slept and never took care of her kids.
That's exactly why I wanted to ask that question, because I know, being in the industry and having to film our reality show that we do, I know exactly that there's always more to the story. And I don't think people on the other side of the keyboard don't comprehend that what you see on TV is completely edited. Yes, it's real, quote unquote. But it's completely chopped up and edited, and there's so much shit you don't see.
To make a storyline, to entertain you. It's supposed to, you know, it was supposed to be funny.
Yes.
But, you know, I honestly think, and I think the worst thing you can do to a woman is to shit on her as a mother.
Yeah.
I think it's really one of the cruelest and most vile things. Yeah. And I honestly can't imagine going up to a stranger or to a person or going online and saying to someone, you're a fucking piece of shit mother. You're a deadbeat mother. Like, I don't fucking know you from a hole in the wall. I can't imagine saying that to a stranger and saying that to them about, you don't know what's going on in someone's home, what's going on with their husband. And people, you know, because we had that show, and I know I'm a public person, and, you know, and it's like, and, you know, I put myself in that position, but at the same time, fuck you. You don't get to do that.
This is where I stand up for us, and I have been standing up to online bullies, and they fucking hate it. Just because we are open online does not give you the right to tear us apart for no fucking reason. They're like, well, you're a celebrity. You should be able to handle it. How about go fuck yourself? You'd never say this to my face.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'd stand up to the bullies, and I don't fucking like it.
And Instagram's the worst. Like, I can't go live right now.
Oh, get on TikTok, girl. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah. Well, Instagram's like I mean in the way that they don't defend you. You know,
at all.
Like, you know, I told someone to like go fuck themselves, or I called them a bitch the other day, you know, shitting on my daughter, like, or shitting on me as a mother or something. And, you know, and I just was like, bitch, get off my page.
Yeah.
30 days. And it's like, and it's just, I know they probably have a computer that's just like, I said the word bitch, so now I can't go live for 30 days. But it's like, did you see the comment? Is that person blocked? Is that person, you know, is there any repercussions for these people's actions for that? Like, you know, what if I wasn't as strong as I am and I go fucking blow my brains out? Like, you know, do you like, I don't understand it. It's really, you know, it's, but back to what I was saying, I honestly think criticizing women like that, especially as a mother, is really the grossest and lowest form of harassment you can do to a woman.
I could never go to somebody's page and just say anything mean.
And if I don't
even
like
if
you,
I don't
agree
agree with
it.
Even if I don't agree with it, I'm just like, and keep scrolling. You know, I don't have to word vomit on this person's page just to make myself feel better.
If I don't like something, I don't view it. I don't go to their pages. I scroll on by. You know, like,
absolutely,
I don't pay attention to it. But you know, people. And I used to, when MySpace was big back in the day.
I love MySpace. We never had problems. We had the top fucking 8. We could put music on our profiles.
Yes,
we could design our profiles.
It was so
Tom
amazing.
didn't fucking fuck with us.
Right.
Nobody got violations.
Yes.
Like, bring MySpace back.
Please.
Tom, where the fuck are you?
Justin Timberlake bought it. Justin, bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring MySpace back.
Tom followed me on fucking TikTok, and I was more excited about that than fucking like.
I matched with him on a dating app.
Tom, you dirty boy, you.
Yeah, he was on the league. You only get like 3 people a day, and he's like, "Yes, it's really me."
Oh my God,
And
that
I'm
is
like,
so funny.
Yeah, but we never talked. It was the same picture, and I was like, "Is this really the Tom?"
Oh my
I
God,
was like, that's weird.
I would love to see Tom in person. I got to get Tom on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
All right, so moving back to Meet the
Yeah.
Barkers, is that kind of where you guys' relationship started falling apart a little bit?
A little bit towards like the end of the season. I think what really happened, what really started to affect our relationship, which is the irony to this day for me, is he didn't want to be known as like a couple or a reality star. He wanted to be known as a musician,
Right.
Which I understand, and I
respectfully
respected
so.
1,000%. You know, and you know, back then I was like, you know, I want to do all the things that you see reality stars doing now. Like I wanted to start a clothing line and a brand, and he was just so against all of it. Like he was so punk rock, and that was so against like what.
But he had famous Stars and Straps.
Yeah, he did,
Right?
but
Or
that was his own,
Stripes?
but that was Straps, Famous Stars and Straps, but that was like its own company. He wasn't using the TV show. He had already created that,
Gotcha.
you know. He wasn't an opportunist with the TV show.
Okay.
And so, you know, we kind of put an end to it. So he
Isn't that the point of having a reality show though, to
That's what I
capitalize
thought.
off to capitalize? And I'm not talking
Yeah.
shit. I'm just saying, like, I would think that you would want to capitalize off whatever you could, especially with the
Yeah.
attention that you guys were getting.
Yeah, and I just think for him, you know, he was the star. And I think when it became about us, like as a couple, and I wanted to be like a power couple, you know, and he didn't want that. He wanted to like, you know, I think he was
Be the
used to
man.
being the man in the center and the musician, and he wanted to be known and taken seriously as a serious musician, and that I could respect. But that's kind of like where it started to decline.
When did the affair with Kim Kardashian start?
It started after the affair with Paris Hilton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Here comes Paris again.
yeah, there comes Paris. And I had already got, like, mind you, in that club, I had gotten Paris Hilton's face, you know, like, well, when Oscar and I were having a conversation, she bippity bopped in, and I was like, "Aren't you fucking this one here? Aren't you fucking this one?" And she was like, "I don't even know him." I'm like, "Yeah, you do." And so she leaves, and you know, he and I continued arguing, Oscar
Right.
and I left. So she and I had already had words like that night, and then, yeah, I don't know. He and I were arguing, and we kind of like separated, but we were still living in the same house.
How did you know he was having an affair with Paris?
They caught him like making out on camera.
Oh,
and it was like
gotcha.
all over TMZ
Okay.
and everything. And I was just like, wow.
I feel like back then Paris was the party girl, and I don't
Yeah.
feel like she really even knew what the fuck was going on. Because I had met Paris a few times out here, and every time I met
Yeah.
her, she was sloshed, dude.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm not
she
making
was.
excuses for her.
No,
we
not at
were
all,
all
not at all.
partying and fucking doing our own thing. But
100%. She was a
yeah.
kid. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I was a kid. I mean, I was probably 26, 27, and she was like, I think like 17 years old or something.
Yeah,
you know?
she was young.
Yeah,
too.
she was young,
A lot of
and-
these men had taken advantage of her. Too,
Absolutely.
you know?
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I remember this is the big incident with her. I was doing Dancing with the Stars, and I think Bama was like 6 months old, and the dancers back then,
Yeah.
you know, all the famous ones now couldn't get into the clubs, and they needed me to get them into the clubs. So we went over. There was like Hyde on Sunset, and then there was this other club, and
God, I remember Hyde.
yeah, yeah, awful. And I was just there for the first time since this incident, like last week, for Jason Momoa's vodka launch party.
Nice.
Not for
Daddy
him,
Jason.
but for his vodka.
I was like,
He was there, but
nice.
I've known him since he was 19. But like,
And you guys never hooked up?
No. I've known him since he
He's
was like
single now.
since he was a model. I mean, he's cute.
Yeah.
He's cute. He was like young Elvis when he first moved to LA. He was like a model and stuff. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So I was at this one club, and my girlfriend came up to me. She was actually at that party, and she was like, "You need to leave." And she was like, mind you, I'm married to Travis, and she was like, Travis and Paris are coming in, like, you need to leave. And I was like,
And so you guys weren't split at the time?
we were separated.
Gotcha.
He was like, I think, doing the whole hotel thing.
Oh,
you know,
gotcha.
when I was at the house with the babies.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't gonna go out that night. I just went to get those other dancers, those kids, into the club. And so when I went down to Hyde, and I was just like doing my thing, and Cheryl Burke, I'll never forget this, came in and was like, Paris is here. And I was like, why is she here? She was just making out with my husband at the fucking bar down the road, you know? And And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm going home. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here. This is, you know, it's humiliating to be asked to leave. And then, you know, this, you know, whatever. And there she was with Stavros. She was making out with Stavros.
Yeah, she was with him.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was making out with him. And I was like, I have a fucking 6-month-old at home, and I have a fucking like 2-year-old and a 5-year-old kid, and you're fucking making out with my husband a block down, and now you're making out with this dude. You don't even love my husband. You're destroying my family, and you don't even fucking love him. Yeah. You know, it's not even like this is your soulmate or you think you're gonna have something with him.
And I'm sure you were really hurt, dude.
I was destroyed. Yeah. I was destroyed, and I went up to her and I was like, you're a real fucking bitch. And she looked at me and she went, she used her voice, you know, her voice that she does, and she went, you're a fucking bitch. And I just went at it. And
you punched her in the jaw, right?
And I was gonna
allegedly, yeah.
And I was about to go at it, and Stavros fucking shoved me down like if the staircase. And if like there weren't people coming up the staircase, I probably would have rolled down the stairs and fucking died.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then and he came up to me and he got in my face. He poured a drink on my head. He had like my wrist and was like bending it back, and I need him in the nuts to get him like away from me. And Sam, like the owner and stuff, they were all like yelling at me, and they like basically shoved me out the front door to the paparazzi. And that's what all that footage is. Like if you Google, it was terrible. And I had to walk from that fucking bar down to the other bar to go get my car.
While paparazzi,
all the paparazzi was like chasing me. It was terrible. So that was like kind of like the end of it all. And then he went to Paris, which is in his book. It's kind of like, and he was with Paris. And at the time, I guess he was talking to Kim too. I don't know. I think that's when they first started talking as friends. And he came back. He got flown back from tour because he was so fucked up on drugs. And I got him sober. And I remember telling like his friend little
So
Chris,
even after all of this, even after, you know, the situation with Paris and stuff like that, and then, you know, knowing about the Kim situation.
I didn't know about Kim at that point.
You didn't know about Kim at that point. Okay, gotcha. He still came back to you.
He came back,
hey, I really need help. I have a problem.
And
here.
I helped him.
Aww.
And I told little Chris, I was like, and Paris was still trying to call him. I was like, look at your fucking friend right now. Look at him. That's what you do to your friend. Don't bring another fucking drug into this house.
Right.
Don't you do it. You know, and it was like some Johnny Cash type shit. You know, like, I mean, I was egging people's cars and stuff. Like, you know, like.
Whose cars did you egg?
His man, like his assistant, you know, trying to pick him up, to take him out, to meet bitches and give him drugs, you know. Everyone wanted to be a rock star. They all wanted, you know, they needed him to go party and drink and meet bitches and feel cool.
Right.
You know, but he had a family and, you know.
You were trying to help him heal.
You know, so. And we got back together, and we were trying to heal over that. I actually helped create the girls line of Famous Stars and Straps, and I did all the campaigns, and I got all my Playmate friends, and you know Adrienne Curry, and you know Tiffany, I think Johnson, to model, you know, big models and stuff. And I did all the women's line and stuff, and then that's when Kim came in, and she was just starting. They didn't have their show or anything yet.
Wasn't Kim? Kim was best friends with Paris.
With Paris, yeah. It was like the two of them had like a who can we fuck competition in LA. You know, like, you know, whose husband can we fuck? You know, like it was pretty crazy. I mean, they really did. It was like wild. It was like. That's why today when they have issues now, I'm like, oh, you know. And I always say
life always comes back around.
It always,
and like I said, and I'm not defending their actions.
Yeah.
They were so young.
They were.
And
they were.
I mean, I've done shit that I fucking completely regret that I did in my 20s. Now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. For me, it's like, hey, you did what you did.
Yeah.
You know. And
at least just say sorry or
yeah,
like,
and that's fine. But it's like, you know, don't be shocked when you know when you deal with an angry wife.
Yeah, it's that TikTok sound. You're shocked.
You're
shocked.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Kim came in, and then what happened there?
So she shot for Famous Stars and Straps, and this was the first time that he handled the shoot.
Gotcha.
Mind you, she's wearing the stuff I designed, you
Right.
know, and I was just like, why is this girl on your? Because I associated her with Paris, and you know. And I was like, why is this girl on your computer? Like, what's going on? And he was like, oh, I just, you know, she's up and coming, and I just wanted to, like, you know, get involved and stuff. And I knew, like, things were getting weird. And at that time, we were just still, like, you know, kind of working on things. And I had a house in the same neighborhood. And so we were, like, going back and forth to each other's homes. And someone anonymously and randomly texted me their conversations, and I'm pretty sure it was Paris.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it was Paris. I don't know.
Wow.
But
so somebody just texts you from a random number and it's screenshots?
Yeah, of all Travis and Kim's conversations.
And what were those like?
They were trying to meet up at her sister's house to fuck.
Which sister?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be crazy if it was Courtney?
Yeah, I know. I think Courtney.
How would that person have gotten those screenshots? That's crazy.
Someone got in her phone for sure.
Wow.
And I remember I went to the house and I showed them to him, and I was bawling. I was just fucking broken.
It's exhausting.
Again.
I've been in relationships like that, and it's like it just tears you down as a human and as a woman. Your self-esteem is just shot at this point.
I wanted, I felt like such a failure with Oscar. I wanted this relationship to work, and we did get married, and we had a successful TV show, and and I was so in love with him and so happy, and I wanted to have what my parents had for my children. I wanted my children to see their mother and father in love, and to walk in on them dancing and have what I had, and I just knew like I wasn't going to be able to give my children that at that moment.
Right.
And I showed him the text messages, and he deleted them, and so I said, I don't see anything, and I was like, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to do this.
Wow.
And then,
I mean, that's the biggest admission of guilt.
Yeah. Just like, and then I called her. We had words. And she just said to me that she didn't like white guys. She only dated black guys. And I was like, Kim, you'll fuck anyone to be famous. Like, you really will. And you fucked, that little singer boy, and you fucked the NSYNC kid. You fucked the NSYNC kid, or whatever.
Who? Which NSYNC kid?
I think she was with, I don't know all their names and stuff.
I don't know.
You can Google it.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely out there. But I was like, you'll fuck anyone to be famous, because they didn't have their show yet. And then they just got their show. And then Travis and I really never really recovered from that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because that was multiple times. And just as a woman, it's like your self-pride and your dignity.
I felt stupid. I was like, you're just making me look dumb, like.
Over and over.
Over and over. So I filed for divorce.
What year is this?
2008.
2008. So you file for divorce from Travis.
Yeah.
Take me on this. You're starting over again, but this time you got 3 babies.
Yes, we're starting over again. I go back to my house. He gets into a plane crash, and we actually started working on things again. We started talking.
This is where the twin flame thing comes in.
Yeah, we started working on things again, and I guess things, according to his book, everyone can read it. They decided that they would just be friends, but I think there's a lot more going on there. But I mean, if you read his book, when people read his book, there's TikToks and stuff about it too, and I'm like, he was fucking married, like I mean, I caught him with like Lindsay Lohan, Kimberly Stewart, Tara Connor. Fucking Paris, Kim, like he
was living the rock star lifestyle.
The rock star life, So, but we always came back to each other, and
that's why I always say twin flames, because no matter what you guys went through, you guys always came back.
Yeah.
Do you think that he'll come back again if things don't work out with him and Courtney?
I don't know.
Would you let him come back?
I don't know. People ask me that. I'll always love him. I'll always love him immensely and deeply, and I'm not bitter or jealous. I don't know him anymore.
Right.
I really don't. I don't know him as a human being anymore at all. So if I ever did hang out with him, I would have to
relearn him
and get to know him as just a friend first and as a person, But as the father of my children and as just as someone that I look back fondly on some of the most amazing memories of my life, I'll always love him for sure. Yeah.
So he gets in this plane crash.
Yeah.
Which was a brutal plane crash.
I was at the house. We were together at that time.
So this is after you filed for divorce.
Yeah. We're not, but we're rekindling. We were talking about getting remarried. And he had just finished tour, and he had to go do this show with DJ AM in North Carolina. And he didn't want to go. They got a private jet, and he was like, Mama, like this jet is really little, and I was like, and he wanted me to go on it, and I had this really weird feeling in the kitchen, and it was so strange, and I remember like going, if we both die, who's gonna take care of my kids? I remember just having like that thought, and I was like, my mom and dad are too old, and his mom and dad are too old, and like, who's gonna raise my children? Like his sister? What's gonna happen?
Right.
And I just said, honey, I don't want to go. Like, I think I should stay back with the kids. And I was like, you're going to want to go play and come home, and I'm going to want to go and party, you know, and you're not going to want to, and it's going to be a big fight. And I was like, just go and come back, and like let's start our life together, you know? And he was like, okay, but he took the plane there and he did the show, and he wanted to get back and DJ AM and then had another show, and he was supposed to stay another night and fly home like commercially. But DJ AM wanted to come back for a gig, and so they voted on getting this plane basically, and he was like, I'm gonna come home early. And I remember when he got there, he was like, honey, I have a really bad feeling about this plane. And I was like, you say that about every plane. We both say this about every. Yesterday,
that's how I am every time we're about to get on a flight.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I was the same way yesterday. Like I was like about to cry on the plane. I sat next to a pilot, and he
until Dita Von Dees showed up.
Yeah, and I was like, we're both not going down, Dita. Not today.
The Gothic
Satan.
angel arrived.
Yes, yeah, Dita the angel, the airline angel arrived. But yeah, so he, it was so weird because I felt like he called me 15 minutes later after the plane crashed, and I felt like they just landed. I don't know how to explain it to you. It felt like hours went by, and they like, and Alabama was in the bed, and it was so weird. Alabama sat up, and she went, Mommy, where's little Chris? And I went, where's little Chris? I was like, little Chris is with Daddy, honey. Like, lay down, go back to sleep. And I was watching a movie, and I got a call, and it was a paramedic or a police officer. And he was like, ma'am, is this Shanna Moakler? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, there's been a terrible plane crash. And I said, and I thought they were fucking around, like joking. And I was like, that's not funny. You know, like, I don't think that's a funny joke. And he's like, no, ma'am, there's been a bad accident. And then I was like, guys, it's not funny. And he goes, ma'am, I am deputy blah, 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 blah. And there's been a horrible plane accident. You need to listen to me. And then I heard Travis screaming. And he was screaming, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And he's like, we need to airlift him to the Atlanta something, and he didn't want to. And then I talked to him, and he was like, they're all gone. Like, little Chris is gone. They're gone. And he didn't want to get on another, like, an airlift.
I don't blame him.
So they drove him. You know, I mean, and he was burned on like 70% of his body, and I think I packed like a shoe and a remote control and a battery, and I fucking flew to
in that
North
moment
Carolina,
you just are like
I
whatever.
was just so out of it, and I was with him for the first like 3-4 weeks there, and in Atlanta, and then we took a tour bus back from Atlanta to the burn center in Los Angeles, and I was there with him there for the first like 2-3 weeks, and this is where it went bad. We got his computer to, I've never shared this with anyone before, so it's kind of crazy. I got his computer, and we were doing it so the kids could FaceTime with him, because mind you, the kids hadn't seen their dad now for almost a month and a half, and we were hoping that him seeing the kids would also give him the strength to keep fighting, right? You know, and
was he fighting like infection and stuff like that?
He didn't have infections, but just the pain,
Gotcha.
just the what they had to do and what he had to endure, and the surgeries and the removal of skin, and just it was really fucking horrifying. I wouldn't have lived, and I was supposed to be on that plane. You know, I would have, and we definitely wouldn't have lived, because there were 4 guys, and we would have let them have the back of the plane, and Travis and I probably would have sat in the front, and we wouldn't have had our seatbelts on, and we would have died for sure. So yeah, I always think about that. But when I was setting up his computer, and he FaceTimed with the kids, but and he was getting a blood transfusion, and I looked in his email, and I saw all the emails from all the women.
Oh goodness.
And I just like, and that didn't bother me as much as back then you had to when you went to TMZ and you wrote a comment, right? What TMZ will do, you write a comment, and then they'll email you a link, and you have to click the link to approve the comment. You can write, you know, Bob or Cindy Lou or whatever you want, but you still have to send it to an email, and then you have to click the link, and then TMZ will you know, approve it. And I saw all these comments in his email that he was posting about me on TMZ, about what a shitty mother I was, and little Chris, about what a shitty mother I was and what a terrible person I was, and you know, and I had even read some of them, and I couldn't fucking believe that he was the one behind some of those comments.
Wow.
And I left the hospital it'll make me like cry just to say I love the hospital.
That's so hurtful.
Yeah, and I went home and I cried in my mother's arms for like hours. It was terrible. I was like, it's terrible. And so that's when I was
because
like,
this is a man that you love, that you're
and
literally
I'm like by his side, like, you know, like I flew to be by his side, and I just fucking was like, I can't go back to, and I called his drum tech and the godfather of our children. I was like, I'm not coming back to the hospital. And I'm like, and this is why. And I need to I need to figure some shit out. And I, granted, looking back now, I probably should have just fucking ate or licked my wounds and been by his side while he was still recovering from that. But at that time, I felt like there was only like 2 people allowed into the room, and he was in LA, and he had his father and his sisters, and he had hundreds of people were going to the hospital and visiting him every day. And I felt like he had a good support system. And for me, I just was like destroyed. And
do you feel like he held that against you, and that was kind of like ammo for his arsenal? And
later on, for sure. Yeah. And you know, and so I just was going out getting drunk, you know, and I think like they took pictures of me with like I was friends with Gerard Butler. I had known him since I was like 20, and now I'm like, I guess I'm like 34 at this point. And I saw him at a club, and the paparazzi took pictures of us, and they made it seem like I was kissing him and stuff, but I wasn't. Yeah. And then Travis saw that, and then we just like never really recovered.
It's crazy when they can do it, but if you do it,
yeah,
then it's like,
for
that's
sure.
how all men are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you went through that, and that's very hurtful. And I don't think that you should have had to have licked your wounds. And, you know, I understand most women would be like, well, she should have, or most people would have been like, oh, she should have sucked it up. No. When you've already been through so much hurt with somebody, there's always that one thing that happens that literally breaks the straw on the camel's back. Yeah. That's how I am in relationships. I'll give and I'll give and I'll give. Yeah. And then if something happened, it could be the fucking smallest thing, which that was a big thing for you, but it could be the smallest thing, and I'll be like, I'll never talk to this person again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, well, we ended up talking.
Yeah, I know. You guys are just a glutton for punishment. It's just because you guys really loved each other. And I really feel like we could always feel the chemistry between Travis and you. Like it was just real.
It was.
I feel like you and Travis both of you are going to be searching for that connection that you guys have for the rest of your lives. Yeah. Whether you guys,
I'm still searching for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm single. So
yeah. I mean, but men are men, and you know, him and his other situation could be very happy and you know, whatever. But it's just when you have a love like that with somebody, it's very hard to ever.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime kind of a
love
thing. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So even after he hurt you, you still went back.
We got back together, and I'll never forget. It was the first he got back out of the hospital, but he was still like on a lot of medications and still healing, and he wanted to go to a restaurant, and I said okay. And I remember watching him. It was the first time I had seen him since I stopped going to the hospital. And he got out of the car, and he grabbed Alabama, and he took her out of the car, and he looked fucked up. Like he just looked like he has been through it. You know, he had like a beard, and you know, but I remember him grabbing our daughter, and I just was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I'm going to heal this family. I'm going to heal this marriage. I'm going to let all this shit go, and all this hurt and this pain and these affairs and everything. And I'm going to love this man, and I'm going to make this family right. And that's what I tried to do. I like cooked for him, and I helped give his medications, and I wiped his balls, and I changed his dressings, and I was there for him, you know? Yeah. And he just was like convinced because of the Gerard Butler that I like cheated on him, you know? He was convinced that I did that.
Stop being a Scorpio, Travis.
Yeah, like just convinced. And he just like, you know, and we were trying to date again, but we just like,
there was just so much water.
There was just so much, and we couldn't do it. And but we ended up living together, you know, and like
was it just as friends? Were you guys still fucking?
we were
like
co-parents, you know, like.
But were you guys still banging and like?
No, but we were just so in love with each other, but
didn't want to let go.
Didn't know how to do it, and we wanted to like, you know, be like there for our kids, and so we lived together like a couple, I think, till like almost 2014.
Wow.
You know, and then till I met my ex-boyfriend Brian, who was a Hell's Angel. And then I got kind of serious with him, and then I was like, okay, I don't think we should be living together anymore. Like, we're not together. You don't want to work on this. I can't be living with you. Like, you know, like you should have your days and I should have my days. And we did what was like a nesting agreement where at first, we lived together all the time, and then we did where the kids stayed in one house, and then I would go to the house like Monday to Wednesday, and then he would go to the house like, Wednesday to Sunday, and then, but the kids would stay in the same place, and we would go from our houses to that one house.
I love how the kids were always the focal point, though.
For sure.
Of like,
always.
Whatever happened, no matter what we've been through, we're going to try to fucking make this work.
That was the one thing, and to this day, it's the one thing that he and I agree on, is our kids, and just trying to give them the best life possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you move on, he moves on.
Yeah.
And is it over from there? So from 2014?
Yeah, it's over. I mean, I stopped talking to him around 2014. We didn't, and we started following each other right before he and Courtney. I don't know how long they've been together, maybe 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure. And then when he got with Courtney, we stopped even just being cordial. We co-parent. If there's some. Yeah. I mean, my oldest daughter's 24. She doesn't. People still shit on me to this day, like, raise your kids. I'm like, I have a grown adult. Like, my daughter is 24 years old. Like, she's a young adult. So, like, I don't, need to rear her anymore, like, literally. You want me to change her fucking diapers? Like,
you're like, I already had a baby.
Yeah, my son is
like
20 years old,
at 24.
I'm like, he's living with his girlfriend. What do you want me to do? Go over
what
to
a
the house?
Handsome kid. They're both just so cute. All of them are so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm really proud of him. And he's so talented. They're all talented. And then Alabama, she's going to be 18, on Christmas Eve this month. So it's like,
she is your fucking twin.
Yeah, and internally too. She's like me, she has that tenacity and doesn't give a fuck, and just is so ambitious, and like, people hate on her. I mean, you want to talk about bullying a fucking kid. That kid has got it since she was 12, and she does not care. Yeah.
I mean, she's been raised in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's probably second skin to her,
Yeah.
But still, no child deserves to be bullied like that.
No child,
ever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How does it make you feel whenever they did take to like public platforms and kind of talk shit about how you didn't raise them and stuff like that? Were you guys just in a heated argument and it was kid shit? Or
I feel at the time when Travis got with Courtney, there was like some parental alienation going on there, where you have to understand too, Travis, even when we weren't together, always wanted to be the super dad. I'm the best parent. I'm the this and that. Right. And I'm like, bro, you win. Like, you're the winner here. Like, you have all the money and you have all the this. Like, you're the winner. Yeah. Give the drummer some. Like, you win. Like, I'm not competing with you. Like, but I think when the Kardashians first came around, they were enamored, just as like young kids would be enamored by them. And I think there was a lot of glitter and fame, and they watched them on TV, and now their dad's dating one, and they're going to be on the show, and and I think they got caught up in that, which young kids would do. Yeah, and absolutely. They're buying them Prada, and they're buying them gifts, and they're going to these events, and they're meeting Kanye, and they're all this big stuff, and I can't give them that. Right. I don't have that. I don't have access to that. I don't have the money to do that. I can't buy you guys Prada every other week and stuff. I can't do it. Right. And my house isn't a mansion like Travis. I don't have a movie theater. I don't have golf carts for you kids to drive around.
He's fun dad.
Yeah, he's everything. You know, and so I think comments were made, and I think they were influenced, and it was hurtful, and it was, and it was like, and I've had conversations with them since, and they, they've apologized, but I'm not going to take one comment that my angry teenage kid says to me, and now all of a sudden, 24 hours, I'm a fucking deadbeat mom. No, like, they all know I'm not. We all know the truth. I go to bed at night. I sleep very, very well. With who I am as a woman and as a mother, and how I raised my children, and and I think now, as time's marching on, I think they're seeing things, and they're realizing, and as they become young adults, they're like, they see through things that they didn't before. Yeah, no, I get it. Teenagers will be teenagers. I went through it with our daughter, who's going to be 16. She was like, we went through a rough patch this last summer, and it's like, that's just how kids are. I mean, what fucking teenage girl gets along with their mom? Very rarely. Very, very rarely. And and at one point I just was like, you know what? The difference between a lot of people is, that shit was all getting played out in the press with one of the biggest, most powerful families in the world, and and they're a media machine. They own the fucking media. I don't. So I just got fucking hammered and bullied, and just and over my fucking kids. Who does that? Who does that to someone with their own children? Fuck you, that family. You're disgusting.
So they haven't ever been welcoming to you?
No, and I would never ever want to know them ever.
Right.
Like, and and I'm tired of people shitting on me. I don't have to like that fucking family.
Right.
People do not have to like that family. You don't like just because the media shoves them down your throat does not mean that you have to like that. There are people that don't like that family, don't watch that fucking show, and don't give a fuck what Kim Kardashian's doing with her ass. Right. There are people that don't care. I don't fucking care, and I'm not afraid of them, and I don't like them. But what I did do is I removed myself. I removed myself so that they couldn't bond with my children over hating me. And I removed myself, and I took a step back, and I was like, you know what? Go do what you guys need to do, and when you're ready, I will be here loving you unconditionally, and I will be here as your mother, and I will wait. And that's what I did.
That's what a real mom does.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You got to let your kids kind of fall and figure it out for themselves, because in the end they'll respect you more than trying to control the narrative.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Good. So so everybody, the relationship is great.
Yes, my
they're
kids
doing
and I are
good.
Yes, they're doing good, and everything. This year, like I said, has been a little rocky for me with the loss of my parents, and and I had another pretty bad breakup, and
let's move on to that. So Matthew, you're talking about Matthew,
yeah,
right?
Matthew.
Yeah, that was a public breakup. Also,
that was a public breakup too.
You guys were together for
3 years, almost 3 years. Yeah, and I love him. I love him very much.
Yeah.
I'll always really care and love him. We quarantined together, and there's something about
I remember watching you guys
with someone. When you quarantine,
I was watching your stories during quarantine.
Oh God, we were so drunk. We were, we just talked actually like last night, and we were laughing about quarantine. Like we were like, wow, we really did the damn thing.
So are you guys friends now? Because
we're working on being friends.
It's probably got to be hard to get back with somebody who has slandered you in the public eye the way that he did too. Yeah, it's like you can't trust.
I'm just so used to being slandered at this point by everybody.
You poor mama.
I'm like, whatever.
You're like, what? Like, who else wants to shit on me?
Let's bring it. Let's go. So
yeah. So you guys split, and you guys are definitely just not.
Yeah, he's on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, and I don't know what I'm doing in life right now. I'm just kind of like floating and kind of just putting my journey in the hands of God and in the universe, because I've suffered so much loss this year that I really don't know, and I really don't, even career-wise, I don't even know what I want to do, and I'm not stressing myself out about it. I'm just kind of allowing myself grace and to heal.
Shanna, you deserve a break.
Thanks.
You have been going at it since you were a teenager. Pageants, pregnancy, divorces, drama. Like
it's been a ride.
You probably need to take 2 years of just peace and healing and be still.
Yeah, I get a lot of, my fan base is a lot of women who are divorced and single or going through breakups, and they ask me like, how do you do it? How do you, and it's like, you just gotta feel it. You just gotta feel that pain, and you gotta feel that hurt, and it's not fun, and it's uncomfortable, and I tell some of my fans, like, some days I get up and I make a coffee, and that's a good day. No, that's a good day. I got up and I was able to do that for myself. So now it's like, that's all I'm doing, is I'm just trying to like just heal.
You have a lot of hurt, and I can see it in your eyes whenever you talk about it. Do you do therapy? Have you considered going to therapy?
No, I don't like therapy. I don't like it, but I definitely am doing the self work and the shadow work. The shadow work. I definitely do that. I mean, I do a lot of meditations.
Meditation saves me.
I do lots of visualization and meditations. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of like self-centering work, and I know I'll get through it. I'll overcome it. But I think with the losing my mother and father, that was like that's where I went to heal. That's where I went. And so I have to kind of learn how to heal without that. And that in itself is its own journey.
I feel like you are always there for everybody else, and who's ever there for Shanna.
Yeah. It's okay.
But it's not like it, and like, we can laugh about it and smile through our pain, but at the same time, it's like you deserve to be able to just take time off and just, fall in love with yourself. And
absolutely,
just fucking do what you got to do to fucking just
Yeah.
At this point, you've raised your babies.
Exactly.
You're good.
Yeah.
Like you've done the mom shit.
Yeah.
You've done the acting. You've done everything.
And
that
I still
ever
have, I still believe in love, and I still have hope. Like, I think there is that person like out there for me, and I love marriage. But I definitely know that I don't want to go into another relationship broken. I want to be like healed, and I want to, the next relationship I do get into, I want it to be one where I understand boundaries and I understand communication and all that stuff, and break that sort of narcissistic cycle.
Yeah. You sweet baby.
Yeah.
Well, Shanna, it has been amazing talking to you.
Thank you so much.
You have such a great story, dude.
Thank you.
I feel like we're best friends now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we've had
I felt
moments.
like that before I even met you, but you give that energy too.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I appreciate that, and I want you to come back. Come back and visit me and sit on this podcast and talk about whatever you want. I'm excited to see
awesome.
what you do next. And
thank you.
You're a precious commodity to the world, and I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much on all social media platforms. It's just my name, so at Shanna Moakler on Instagram. And
wait, we forgot to talk about one thing.
Okay.
You have an OnlyFans.
I do have an OnlyFans. Yes,
we gotta make mama money.
Yeah, go visit my OnlyFans.
Yes.
I love it. I don't do anything like pornographic. I don't masturbate.
But God, if you did, you would probably. I made millions on OF. I could only imagine if you fucking went down that road. Would you ever go down that road, or no?
No, I don't think it's like for me. But I do like what I basically like Playboy style stuff.
Yeah.
I do like customs, and things like that. But I don't get too crazy on there.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of fun, and I chat and talk, and I have a lot of fun on there.
Right. Good.
But and I think OnlyFans isn't as taboo as it used to be, and especially with OnlyFans TV. I do pageant stuff on OnlyFans TV. So I'm teaching girls like interview skills on there, so
I love it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I just had to make sure that
Thank
we
you.
shouted
Yes,
out
and
the
you can go to my
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. It's Shanna Moakler. OnlyFans.com at Shanna Moakler, and my Instagram's at Shanna Moakler. My Twitter, Threads, everything.
We got to get you on TikTok. You need to be more active on TikTok.
I just am starting, so I would love to learn.
We got you,
from
baby.
you guys.
Yeah.
If you please teach me,
We got you.
what works, because I do not know, and I'm not even verified on there. I don't even know.
Oh, you will. Once you start getting more active and getting more views, they'll verify you for sure.
Okay,
There's no reason why they wouldn't verify you.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm learning, and Bama just like laughs at me. I'm like, how do I do this?
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Literally, that's exactly what Bama does. She just gets on there and does her makeup thing. Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'm going to do a live on there this month since I can't do one on Instagram. I'm going to do a live on there.
Start moving your Instagram over to TikTok.
Okay.
Too.
Okay,
like
cool.
they all talk to themselves, but TikTok is it'll grow your business tenfold.
Oh,
It'll
okay,
be
good.
insane.
Yeah, you guys have masters have to teach me, please teach me.
We got you, baby. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Dumb Blonde. I will see you guys next week. Bye.